gone to turn on the camera just like this in a while, and I felt like it, and I don't even know if I'm gonna post this, but I just kind of wanted to have a little chat with the camera. There is something really cathartic about it for me, whether I post it or not, whether I show it to 2 people or I make it public on my channel. There is something that has always been really cathartic. How many times am I gonna use that word? It's a good word. It is August. We are approaching the end of summer, which is sad because I always really look forward to summer, and I had a pretty good summer. I did some traveling. I spent some time in California. I spent some time in Chicago. I spent some time with good people, and I did a lot of fun things and made some really fun memories, and I always really love summer. And now it is coming to an end, and I wanted to be honest. These past couple of weeks, I would say maybe the last week or 2, I haven't been doing so well. I want to be very vocal and honest about my struggles with my mental health on this channel, and there's a lot that I could go into, but for now, I'll probably just be more general about it. This is a series in itself, and it's just called Girl Takes Out Camera at Random Times Throughout the Week while in the middle of a constant panic attack. Listen, my depression kicked in. My depression got bad. I had a pretty good summer. My mental health was okay this summer. I was fighting with some things, but then other things felt like they were under control. It's always a balance when you struggle with like multiple different aspects of your mental health. It's just kind of the realities of a brain that doesn't like to be nice to you. But over this past, I would say maybe like 2-ish weeks, I've been really wrestling with my mental health. It has not been very fun. My anxiety has kicked into like full 100%, and I've been having panic attacks. Some of them have been during the day, some of them have been at night and have woken me up. I've been having very harsh dreams and struggling to sleep. My stomach has just been like hurting constantly. I'm like losing my appetite. And I'm struggling to get myself out of bed. I'm struggling with my mental health. It's just not good. Depression has kicked in, anxiety has kicked in, panic and panic attacks have kicked in, and then a lot of other things that I kind of struggle with and kind of avoid a lot have kicked in all at the same time. So sometimes for me it feels like I'm either numb or everything is just pouring out of me and I feel like I don't have control over it. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And so when that happens, it gets tough. And I tend to isolate, I tend to be self-destructive or self-sabotaging, because that's all I've known in the past. And ever since I've gotten into therapy and have been working with the therapist that I am now, we have continuously been working and will be working probably for a long time to come on how to break those patterns, because they're bad patterns and bad habits for me. When you're so accustomed to dealing with something a certain way your whole life, is hard to change, but it is possible. And I definitely have made a lot of progress over this past year or 2. When I get into this mindset and when I hit, you know, setbacks or lows, it's really hard not to feel frustrated with myself and discouraged, even though it's normal, because progress is not linear and you're going to sometimes take dips, and that's okay. It's just a matter of how you handle it and what you do to work through it. I can't control that this happened, but I can control what I do about it. So honestly, this past week, 2 weeks, it hasn't been that great, and I'm not very proud of how it's gone, but I do want to be honest about the mental health aspect of it and the depression part, the anxiety part, because this is all stuff that tons of people face on a daily basis, and it's not easy, especially because in certain environments it is so stigmatized that it's so hard to explain on so many different levels what is happening. But today I got up and I took a walk, like for like an hour. I walked, I got coffee, I went to the store, I picked up some stuff that I needed, and I just like listened to music, and it was very helpful. It felt really good. It was like a hot day, so I was like dying, but it felt really good to just move. My body really needed that because I was having really horrible like panic in my sleep, waking up in cold sweats, having really weird like violent terrifying dreams, and I just felt like I needed to get up and just get some air, because when I do get into depressed states, I tend to isolate. I tend to spend a lot of time in the dark, in hiding, just kind of trying to almost basically escape my brain, which kind of feels like its own prison. And so I just got out of bed and I did one of my favorite things in the whole world to do, which is go get some coffee, and took a walk and came back and spent some time outside. And that's good. That's a good way, a good coping mechanism. There are things that I have done over these past couple of weeks that weren't so good, but we can only go forward. Keep driving forward. Actually, I went to Starbucks, and one of the ladies at Starbucks, like, because everyone reads my tattoo because it's like right there to be read, and the worst comment that I get when people read this tattoo, it's usually like older people, will be like, keep driving forward, but like, what if you want to drive in reverse? I'm like, why do you feel the need to say that to me? Like, clearly it means something. Clearly it's permanent on my body, so why are you trying to like fight it? Do you gotta be like that? Anyway, someone said that and it just like bothered me. I was like, that's not the point. It's not literal. I'm not talking about a car, lady. I did some singing today because that is like #1 for me. Performing is my saving grace, always has been. It makes me feel alive. It like centers me and like brings me back to earth when I feel like I've just like gone off and like spiraled completely. So that felt really good. That's why I have the camera out, because I was just like recording myself singing, nothing that anyone will ever see, but sometimes I just do it to kind of like listen back and I don't know, just see how I did. It's Thursday. I've been taking the camera out at random times, and I'll probably do that because I think this is very helpful. I think the biggest thing when you struggle with your mental health is to remember you don't have anything to prove to anybody. You're not living for anybody else. It's really hard to drown out the noise. It's really hard to not obsessively worry about what people are going to think about you and the decisions that you're making for yourself. But that gets you nowhere, and at the end of the day, you are with yourself. You are living with yourself. You have to make sure you're taking care of yourself. That's what's most important. And that's something that I get lost in. It's one of the, like, my least favorite things about myself is the obsession I have about what people will think about my situation. And I get so lost in it that sometimes I take on things that I shouldn't. I pile things on too much that I know that I shouldn't, but because I want to appear impressive, or that I want people to be proud, or I feel like I need something to show, and something to prove my worth, something to show for myself, to prove that I'm worthy of existing. And that is not the way that it works. I'm worthy of existing just by being here right now. And that's important. And that goes for all of you. You are worthy of existing just as you are. Everything else is bonus. Everything else is the cherry on the ice cream. You gotta focus on yourself. I don't even really like cherries on my ice cream, but you know what I mean.